I'm not stiff there.
Want to become intimately acquainted with my spider before you try it on your own? Oh, come on, you're interested in at least one, aren't you?
How can I get the wrong idea?
In the previous episode, we went over episodes 1 to 6 of Grimgar, Ashes and Illusions, so if you haven't seen that video yet, make sure to check it out. Being transported into a new world, Haruhiro and his party started off having a great time defeating goblins together. One day, however, things took a turn for the worse with the leader, Minato dying and the party being left unsure how to move forward. Now Haruhiro takes on the role as leader himself, hoping to keep their party's spirits alive while overcoming challenges along the way. Welcome back to Grimgar, Ashes and Illusions, where we pick up with Mary remembering the moment when her friends died, her being out of magic. Despite having the power to heal them and holding them in her hands, Mary was unable to do anything. Having left her brethren to die, Mary has vowed to never get in a situation like this again. Mary followed Hayashi and joined the new party with him, but she was miserable. Eventually Mary switched from party to party, never being able to find friends like she once had. Hayashi reveals that his goal is to bring Mary back to her old self. He then asks the group if they can do their best to make Mary happy, as long as she is in their party. Orion, the leader of the new party, reminds them that they need to treasure their moments with their comrades. He reminds them that usually once you realize how much of an impact someone had on you, it's once they pass away. Ranta, on the other hand, finds no point in gathering information on Mary, her being an outcast in their group. Haruhiro attempts to defend her, but Ranta continues to criticize her. Shihoru then speaks and expresses her feelings of wanting to cherish their comrades. She tears up after the thought of losing another comrade like how they like Minato. Haruhiro agrees with her and tells Ranta that if they don't treat Mary as a friend, she won't either. Haruhiro expresses to the group that if they want to become stronger as a group, they need to get closer. Yume tells Ranta that every time he calls her flat-chested, it hurts her feelings. Ranta realizes that he needs to stop being so mean, so he agrees to try his best. Haruhiro then tells Ranta that he will try his best as well at becoming better friends. Ranta gets embarrassed after being showered with kindness, so he goes for a walk. Ranta then apologizes to Shihoru for always being mean to her. Haruhiro recognizes this, and thinks maybe they have a chance at warming Mary up tomorrow. The next day, they head into the old city, where they find a goblin holding Haruhiro's old dagger. He gets flustered by remembering when he dropped it and attempts to rush in. Yume stops him, however, giving the two a moment to remember. Haruhiro wakes up and realizes they need to think more strategically, so he follows them to the hideout. Before we continue, let's take a moment to answer the question of the day. If you saw the enemy who killed your friend, would you be able to hold your bloodlust back? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out in the next video. Now back to the recap. They arrive back at their base and Haruhiro tells Mary he has something he needs to talk to her about. Mary shows some hostility, telling him to make his point quickly and move out the way. Haruhiro tells her he has been worrying for her health, knowing she is lonely. Haruhiro tells Mary the past of the priest in their party, hoping she will warm up after knowing their past. He explains to her that Minato used to always heal them when they were injured. He tells her how amazing of a leader he was. Although he bore the burden of the whole team's injuries on his back, he would always continue fighting with them. Haruhiro informs her that once Minato died, their party was in a wreck, thinking they couldn't move forward. He tells her that despite them all being different with their own weaknesses, Minato still accepted them into his party. He then tells Mary that he doesn't want any more of his friends to die, calling Mary a friend in the process. The other members of the party then tell Mary that they all like her being with them despite her personality, even Ranta. With their bond closer than ever, the party ventures through a forest, heading to the closest town. Before they part ways, the group decides to invite Mary to join them for activities, but she denies their request. She tells them she isn't warmed up to them enough just yet, and she runs away. That night they decided to go and pick up a new helmet for Maguzo, then get a bite to eat. Tonight the group goes to sleep with each member feeling closer to each other than before. When they go hunting the next day, Mary starts to use her powers more openly, showing she trusts them. This hunt they decide to stalk out the goblins until they eventually see the goblin with Haruhiro's knife. After their hunt for the day, they head to a tavern where everyone teases the group for being goblin slayers. After days of hunting goblins, the group continue to grow, earning their keep. Over time, they think about what to do moving forward, considering going to a new city. Ranta wishes he had some love in his life, so he asks Mary who he would choose out of the three. She doesn't give him a straight answer, but it warms her up to the group a bit more. Through their travels, Haruhiro prioritizes one day making Mary smile with their group. Although they can't afford anything super fancy, the group has definitely upgraded their gear and weapons. On top of new armor, the group acquires new spells, making them even stronger. With their new variety of skills, each having their own use, the party is able to easily deal with the goblins now. Haruhiro especially can feel the wavelengths telling him where to strike, making his hits all deadly. With enough preparation, the group decides to embark on their next challenge tomorrow. Later that night, Minato appears before Haruhiro again, asking if he has trouble sleeping. Haruhiro explains to him that he is excited to finally move past the goblins and start a new chapter. Haruhiro realizes that he has forgotten how long it's been since he first entered this world. Despite their differences, Haruhiro is enjoying his time with his party despite Manato's death. Haruhiro wishes he could show Minato how much their party has grown. Before they embark on their new journey, they decide to have a group huddle. Ranta tells Haruhiro to give a motivational speech beforehand. Haruhiro tells the group that he was thinking about Minato last night, hoping to avenge him today. He tells them in order to achieve that goal he needs their help, him not being able to do it alone. Haruhiro then wishes for the group's safety, not wanting another friend to die. He tells Mary that they will work as a group, and they need her help to ensure no one dies. Mary agrees, and she decides to do her best in assisting the group. As they walk off, Ranta tells Haruhiro that Mary has been calling him by a nickname, wondering when they got so close. Determined to finish off the last of the goblins and retrieve his weapon, Haruhiro guides the party inside of the castle. The goblins, however, don't show much fear, all of them wandering around doing their own thing. They eventually start their attack with Yume striking through the throat of a goblin. The stronger goblins overhear this and decide to get their army ready. While the party thinks they are still being stealthy, little do they know the goblins are about to launch a full-force attack. Knowing this, they rush through the goblins' lines, taking them down one by one. Eventually, a large goblin emerges and gives the party a run for their money. After being separated from the vanguard, the leader of the goblins rushes towards the party with his spear. He strikes at Yume and Haruhiro, but they are too strong, pushing him back. While this occurs, Ranta and Moguzo deal with their own battles. The goblin leader eventually overpowers Yume and lands a blow on her. Haruhiro runs in to fight back, but he is pushed back, causing Mary to step in. She delivers a good strike, giving Haruhiro the opportunity to rush in and deal a fatal blow. Mary then heals the other party members, giving them the strength to move forward. While fighting, Moguzo struggles to deal any damage on the large goblin, forcing Mary to heal him. Shihoru notices him down and rushes in, stunning the goblin. This gives Moguzo a chance to attack, and Ranta also deals with his opponents. Haruhiro tells the other group members they are almost done with clearing the fortress. They arrive at the top floor and see the previous goblin who escaped barely holding on to his life. Ranta goes to deal the final blow, but he is stopped when he spots Mary receive an arrow in her back. She falls to the ground, and this causes the group to panic a little bit. They strike down one of the goblins and make sure Mary is alright before continuing. Haruhiro then dashes to the goblin wielding his old blade. He knocks the goblins down, but it brings Haruhiro with him. Haruhiro is eventually able to recover his old blade and strike the goblin's neck, ending the battle. Following this, Haruhiro is excited to finally be able to move forward. The party visits Manato's grave for the final time before moving on to the next city. They all give him their prayers, hoping he is in a better place now. Haruhiro regrets not being more friendly to Minato when he was alive, vowing to make his current friendships count. He wonders what life could have been like if Minato was still alive, but at the same time he is glad they were able to move forward. Haruhiro tells the late Minato that they finally got their official badges and don't have to worry about ripped underwear. Ranta tells him it hasn't been too bad, saying he could care less about clean underwear. The group eventually presents a present to Minato, pooling the money they had collected. Shihoru approaches his grave and sets down his own official badge. Despite it being a waste of money, the group is glad that they were able to give Minato a badge. Shihoru breaks down into tears, still saddened by Manato's death. The men then leave, having said their final goodbyes to Minato. Before heading out, Haruhiro thanks the girls for helping make their party so much fun. Mary follows Haruhiro once he leaves, understanding the pain the others have to bear. Haruhiro asks Mary how the others' injuries are, to which she tells them they are all good. For once, Mary finally smiles, seeing how much of an impact she has had on the group thus far. Mary, on the other hand, calls Haruhiro by his nickname Hal again, making him wonder why she calls him that. She doesn't give him an answer, but rather asks why he isn't more happy about defeating the goblins for good. Haruhiro then tells her that despite defeating them, he still feels responsible for the loss of Minato. Haruhiro then reveals to Mary that he is aware of her past, asking how she got over it. After bringing up those memories, he apologizes to her, but she tells him she is glad she can heal others. Haruhiro attempts to tell her something, but he is cut off by the ringing of the clock tower's bells. Mary decides to leave and finally tells Haruhiro goodbye, showing how much closer she has gotten to the group. The next day, Haruhiro wakes up and realizes today is a day off. He wonders why he feels so strange, not knowing what to do on a day off. Moguzo notices this and tells him Ranta has already left. He then presents him breakfast and Haruhiro thanks him for always preparing food for them. Haruhiro then asks Moguzo where Ranta went to, which he explains that he is out practicing his sword. Haruhiro then asks Moguzo what he is planning on doing, him having a day off as well. Moguzo explains that he is planning on getting his gear repaired, then he asks Haruhiro what he will do. Haruhiro is still unsure, so he decides to wander around looking for something to do. He finds Shihoru playing with some birds, so he decides to invite her to eat some of Moguzo's food with him. She instead just looks at the view, it being the place where their original group looked at the sunset together one final time. Shihoru tells Haruhiro that she looks forward to working with him going forward. Yumi, on the other hand, is still sleeping while the others venture around town. Haruhiro finds an animal wandering around and decides to follow it, seeing where it will lead him. He eventually loses it and just looks around town, hoping to find a new spot to hang out. He stumbles upon a cafe where he discovers Mary, sitting alone and reading a book. She invites him to sit alongside her and the two get some coffee. Mary tells Haruhiro that this place is a dorm for females who were summoned like he was. She suggests telling Yume and Shihoru of this place in case they ever separate. Haruhiro, however, gets distracted looking at Mary's beauty. He wonders what she is thinking about, having lost all of her former comrades. Ranta, on the other hand, goes fishing where he finds Yume climbing a mountain. He realizes despite her being flat-chested, she still has her own charm. Moguzo, on the other hand, decides to treat his day off like one and just lay back on his chair. As the day goes on, Haruhiro discovers more of the city, eventually arriving at a view of the sunset. That night, Haruhiro meets up with the others at the usual tavern, exchanging information with Kikawa. Mary then approaches and joins in on the conversation with the two. Kikawa informs them of a new group of goblins, asking if they are going to fight them. Kikawa then runs off, and Haruhiro goes to inform the group. He asks if they want to go to the next city or try to deal with these new goblins. Moguzo suggests to him that they change their hunting grounds and try to take on stronger enemies. Haruhiro thinks and asks if they want to take on a mine outside of the city. Reluctant, the group talks about the dangers they could encounter, but realize they need some sort of plan. Haruhiro tries to convince them by telling them they won't ever grow if they don't take on new challenges. Yume asks if it's bad to continue just fighting goblins, not having much trouble earning money nowadays. Haruhiro informs her that they will never be strong enough to go to the next city if they don't try something new. Mary, on the other hand, starts to freak out, not wanting to lose her companions again. She rushes off, and Haruhiro decides to follow suit, hoping to catch up to her. Having visited the cafe earlier, he has an idea where to go, eventually letting him find her. After catching up to her, Mary falls to her knees and apologizes for running away. Haruhiro realizes that the mine is where she lost her last party, and it would be tough to put that burden on her. Haruhiro realizes their party wasn't able to go back to where Minato died, realizing Mary's worry. Mary tells him that she can't keep her composure in the mine, not wanting to go. She tells him that she has to overcome her past, just like how they did with the goblins. Haruhiro tells her that she isn't alone, and that they will support her in the battle. Mary then expresses her feelings towards Haruhiro, telling him that he is the first person to call her a friend. Haruhiro starts to tear up, realizing how much of a positive impact he has made on Mary. She tells him he looks cute while crying, and she thanks him for his empathy. In preparation for the mines, Haruhiro decides to visit his old guild and learn a new skill. Here he encounters Barbara, who flexes her skills on him. After easily overpowering him, Barbara tells him that they will be undergoing intense training. They begin the training, where Barbara beats him up over and over again until he gives up. Barbara then lays on him and tells Haruhiro if he wants to be stronger, he needs to make one of his female party members his girlfriend. Haruhiro changes the subject, asking his teacher how he can get stronger. He informs her of the wavelengths he can see when fighting, and she tells him it's a good sign. Barbara tells him that if he wants to truly get stronger, he needs to concentrate on a specific technique. Along with this, she suggests he do more training and increase his strength. He eventually completes her training and leads the party to raid the mine. They enter the mine and are greeted by a group of kobolds aiming for their heads. The party doesn't falter, however, defeating the goblins with ease. Haruhiro demonstrates his new skill on a kobold, making his fight easy. Ranta then showcases his new skill, sending a fiery pillar in the chosen direction. He struggles to defeat the kobold, leaving the others to watch as he fights it. Ranta eventually defeats the kobold, allowing the group to loot the corpses and move forward. Following this, Mary prays over the defeated enemies, them all having talismans. She explains that different kobolds have different levels of talismans, so Ranta starts looking through the loot. The others join in, and they all scavenge, trying to find a new piece of gear. Haruhiro wonders why he feels empathy towards monsters, despite them being his prey. He decides to move deeper into the mine after defeating the upper layer kobolds. Mary, having been to this mine before, explains the layout to the others. Within the mine there lives lower-level kobolds, mid-level kobolds, and leader-level kobolds. There is a gondola within the mine that is only accessible by leader kobolds. As the group ventures deeper, they begin hearing strange noises, piquing their interest. They look where the sound is coming from, and spot a group of mid-level kobolds sleeping. The group tries to back away and leave them, but Ranta proposes that they fight them. He considers how much loot they will get, and how good of an opportunity this is. He continues trying to convince Haruhiro to take on the kobolds, but everyone else walks away. Thanks to all of his rambling, Ranta woke up a leader-level kobold, making it aware of intruders. They then move on to taking on a smaller group of kobolds, where Shihoru displays her new skill. With the ability to bind the kobold, she makes it significantly easier for the party to defeat the kobolds. Haruhiro, on the contrary, utilizes his senses to the max, letting him track the wavelengths to the opponent's vitals. Upon defeating the kobolds, they loot the bodies, and Haruhiro proposes they head back for today. Ranta gets a bit disappointed, but Haruhiro knows it's better to play it safe. He also wants to make sure Mary is warmed back up to the dungeon before they venture in deeper. Later that night, Haruhiro realizes that he isn't compatible with Ranta. They are always arguing. He wonders what Minato would have done in that situation to make Ranta happy. Haruhiro knows that Ranta was shaken by Manato's death as well. He wonders what the difference between him and Minato as leaders is, so he decides to ask Ranta. They then decide to head outside so they don't disturb Maguzo's sleep. Haruhiro asks Ranta what he thinks of the party and whether he is doing a good job leading. Ranta tells him that he is simply just doing his job, doing what he can do. Ranta tells Haruhiro that he thinks they should venture further so they can become stronger and defend themselves. Ranta explains that he demonstrated his strength today by defeating a kobold all by himself. Haruhiro asks him to be more careful next time he is fighting an enemy. Ranta takes this the wrong way and starts to question what the issue is. Haruhiro tells him he isn't working as a team, and they should take every battle on together. Ranta asks him what he brings to the team, wondering what his strengths are. Ranta tells him that he isn't interested in being good friends with the others, him in it for the work, not friendship. Ranta then heads to bed, making Haruhiro wonder how their relationship got so bad. Not wanting to face him, Haruhiro decides to sleep outside, where he is woken up by Yumi. He sees her throwing daggers against a target, practicing her aim. Haruhiro then thanks her for giving him a blanket. She then starts talking about her new daggers, getting them from her master. Haruhiro, on the other hand, greets Maguzo while waiting for him to complete breakfast. Later that day, they head back into the mine, where Mary displays her new spell. Shooting a light beam, she is able to deal damage and stun enemies, making it much easier for the others. Haruhiro then charges into battle and assists Ranta and Yumi dealing with their own kobolds. While the others fight in groups, Maguzo dominates, dealing with kobolds by himself. After defeating the grunts, they take down the elder of the group, giving access deeper in the mine. Upon arriving at the 4RD floor, they are surprised to see a grassy area with lots of animals. Mary tells them to get low after spotting a group of kobolds in front of them. The animals then start ringing the bell above them, so Mary suggests they head down to the 5th level to avoid fighting the kobolds. After telling them this, they spot a leader-level kobold, it being the same one who wiped out her past party. As they hide in the field, the leader-level kobold tries to sniff them out, inducing fear into the party. Trembling with fear, Mary remembers her past with her previous party. She remembers them being kind and always offering her help. Before leaving for their last trip as a party, Mary remembers trusting her leader. Although she enjoyed his company, Mary shares that he would be annoying sometimes. Haruhiro then shakes her, waking her up in the process. With the leader-level kobold lurking close by, Mary takes the lead, wanting to ensure her party's safety. Once they arrive to the 5th level, it changed drastically, it being covered with lava. Mary tells the others, however, that she will guide them to a well that will take them back up to the 4th floor. She shares with the others of her experiences, suggesting they take down the kobolds in the area. After defeating the first kobold, they continue to explore the mines, eventually arriving at an opening. They arrive at an old temple that kobolds steer clear of, telling them it's safe here. Upon arriving inside, Mary finds the old staff that she once used. Yuma then asks the others if they hear what she hears, suggesting there is something abrupt. They look around until Ranta throws a light plant into the darkness, revealing some corpses. The corpses walk towards the group, and Mary recognizes them as his fallen comrades. She attempts to talk with them, but after getting no response, she realizes it's no use. The group then prepares for battle, being initiated by Mary's old party. Mary then tells Haruhiro to back her up and let her go into the vanguard. She holds her staff and prepares to face them head-on. Haruhiro then orders the other members of his party to prepare as well, and they initiate the start of the battle. Amidst the battle, Haruhiro realizes how important this fight is, Mary not being able to move forward without defeating them. Ranta takes on one of the undead by himself, showing their opponents are no joke. Haruhiro continues to take note of the different skills the undead has, each having their own unique set of skills. He wonders how to defeat the enemies until he spots Mary running in herself. She defeats the first of her fallen comrades and prays over their ashes. Haruhiro then moves in to help Ranta, where he is fighting a dagger user with fast attacks. Haruhiro realizes he would lose against him one-on-one, but he is joined by his comrades. Following this though, Mary runs in and puts another one of her past friends to sleep. They then head on to the final enemy, him being the strongest and past leader of the group. They take his attention away from Mary, and this gives her a chance to run in and dispel the final of her comrades. Following the battle, Haruhiro walks over to the ashes of Mary's past party and prays this doesn't happen to them. He offers a hand to Mary and compliments her past party members' strengths. They all recognize how strong they were, making them want to become stronger themselves. Yuma then wonders if she will ever be able to save up a gold coin to buy a wolf dog. Haruhiro wonders what she will do with it once buying it, making him think about what he should buy. He decides to just continue at his own pace and upgrade his gear as he progresses. The group then gets relaxed and prepares to head home and buy new things. Suddenly a kobold breaks into the area and starts attacking the group. He is unable to deliver a final blow to the group, so he alerts the rest of the nest of the intruders. The party rushes out, being chased by all of the kobolds in the mine. While running, Shihori falls down, causing Ranta to stay back and save her. They then arrive at a scaffold and jump across to make a shortcut. They continue to flee but are stopped when the leader-level kobold breaks the scaffolding they are standing on. Haruhiro begins to fall, but he is saved by Ranta, telling him to climb up. Haruhiro then attempts to climb up, dodging incoming arrows and attacks. He gets to the top, but Ranta falls down after the scaffold below him is broken. Ranta tells him to go on, knowing the group can't go on without their leader. Haruhiro then gets to the top and tells the group what happened, asking if they should head down or not. He apologizes to them for being incompetent as a leader, knowing if they all die it will be worse than just Ranta. Following this, they are discovered by some kobolds, so they decide to head up to the top and trust in Ranta. Ranta, on the other hand, tells the kobolds that they will all die by his blade. They begin shooting him with their crossbows, making him agitated but not give up. He continues to struggle, giving the others a chance to escape and giving himself a chance to become stronger. On the 3rd floor of the dungeon, we see Ranta, who somehow managed to escape from the leader-level kobold's grasp. Some animals approach him and consider making him their next meal. Ranta wins them over, however, and gets the animals to block the kobold's view from him. With no other options, Ranta decides to call upon his demon and see how it can assist him. He asks how the demon can get him out of this situation, but it shows hostility, wishing he would die. The others, on the other hand, are awaiting Ranta to catch up with them on a safer floor. Yuma shares with him that although he is rude to her, she still doesn't want to give up on him. She tells the others that if she was all alone, she would be super scared. She worries for Ranta, wishing he comes back to them fine. Haruhiro assures the others that Ranta is on the way, him being one of the strongest in their group. The kobold, on the other hand, decides to try and eat some of the animals, leading Ranta to strike him. Another kobold notices the injured kobold, so he rings the bell, alerting the rest of the kobolds to come attack. The others watch nearby, wondering if it was Ranta that alerted all of the kobolds. Ranta goes and hides within a shed, hoping to let the kobolds cool down, but he is caught by the leader kobold. He attempts to damage it and shake it off, but he fails, causing the others to step in. Yuma strikes his eye, and the others prepare for a full-scale attack on the rest of the kobolds. With each member now being able to hold their own against multiple kobolds, they wipe out all of the lower-level kobolds. Yuma then fires another arrow at the leader kobold, giving the others a chance to strike more of the lower-level ones. The party all work together in perfect unity, clearing a path to their escape. After barely escaping the kobold's grasp yet again, Mary heals the wounded. Ranta then begins to cry, being happy that he survived such a brutal event. He realizes how much he missed the others, including Yumi's flat chest. Mary then stops him from shouting, and Haruhiro gets back to camp. He tells them their initial path is secure and they are good to continue forward. Before heading out, Haruhiro reminds himself that no matter how much he tries, he won't be as good as Minato. He expresses that thanks to his comrades making up for his mistakes, they have been able to make it through. He wonders if after all this time of him being the leader, he has done good. They eventually make it to the top of the mine, and Mary alerts Haruhiro that she won't be able to use magic to heal the others. Haruhiro suggests they leave the mine then, not wanting to risk any injuries. As they continue through the mine, they are eventually found by the leader kobold. He strikes at them, but his initial attack is evaded, allowing them to counterattack. The kobold knocks Maguzo down and leaves the party in a tough situation. Haruhiro realizes that they won't even be able to leave unless someone holds the leader off, so he takes the initiative. He grabs hold of it, then entraps it within a cave, giving the others a chance to escape. After falling down the pit, he looks up and is glad to see everyone escape. Haruhiro has a hard time hearing what Ranta is saying, but he eventually realizes that he can't give up. He then grabs his dagger and ties his wounds, preparing to fight this beast for the final time. Haruhiro realizes that this is probably his end, so he hardens his resolve one final time. As if he enters the zone, Haruhiro is able to see all the wavelengths. As the kobold moves in to strike, Haruhiro easily outspeeds it, and finds the perfect wave to ride, leading to the kobold's head. Haruhiro then delivers a fatal blow to its neck, and slices its sword in half, all in an instant. Having exhausted himself, Haruhiro fell to the ground and passed out. He eventually wakes up to see Mary singing to him on his bed. He asks her if he is in heaven, to which she tears up, glad he is back to normal. She gets in close and guides Haruhiro over to the other party members. He asks the others what happened to the boss he defeated, to which Ranta throws him a pile of 30 gold coins. The party all agree that Haruhiro can decide what to do with the gold, him having defeated the leader kobold himself. They then show Haruhiro the leader kobold's blade that he had cut, asking how he did it. He tells him his body just took control and he was able to defeat it easily. Following this, Haruhiro goes and looks at the same view they did as a former party, until he is approached by Mary. She presents to him the pendant that he took off during his fight, fixed back to normal. She welcomes him back and congratulates him for defeating such an amazing enemy. Later that night, Haruhiro goes to the tavern where he is praised this time instead of being ridiculed as a goblin killer. Renji as well comes into the tavern and tells Haruhiro that he has become a great leader. Haruhiro tells him that it's thanks to him that he realizes he needed to overcome Manato's death and become the leader he is. Haruhiro decides to visit Manato's grave again, this time being proud of himself as a leader. Haruhiro sees Minato appear before him, and he asks how he can be a good leader. Minato, however, tells him he already is a good leader, and he disappears. Haruhiro thinks to himself how much he has grown, and he leaves the grave, telling Minato he will be back.